Okay, this is a very simple aspect. Two papers, the paper 1 and paper 2. Fine, you must be knowing the breakup of the papers. The breakup of the paper is that every paper has 8 questions. Fine. 2 parts. So it has 8 questions, 2 parts. Part A, 4 questions. Part B, 4 questions. Fine. Question 1 and question 5 with each having 5 parts are compulsory. So you have to choose out of the remaining 6 questions, 3 more, and totally you have to attempt 5 questions. Fine. So 1 and 4 compulsory and 3 out of both the parts together with at least 1 from each part. Right? So you have a lot of choices. See, this is a very good aspect. That is why I am telling you this. This is something this something makes peace with our preparation, that okay, yes, we have some option in the paper, right? But the bad part will come. The same is with the paper 2, right? Now when we talk about your examination, so I broadly divide it into 3 phases. One, basically 2008 to 12, 2012 to 2015, 2015 onwards, or 16 and 16 onwards. Now, what is happening? Fine. So the paper is changing, no doubt. The paper has evolved, and the public administration is one such subject where the subject has evolved much faster compared to other disciplines. If you want to understand it, then you can go back to our beginning in the lecture that we were talking about. Why and how it is possible for one subject to evolve much faster than the others? Because it is an practical subject. It is a practical discipline. It is evolving with the society. Right? And sometimes it is evolving for the society. So it is also possible that it may evolve before the society actually evolves. Before the society actually can think of. Right? For example, when we talk about the horrors of the social media, right? So first we have to live that social media, and then we can think of the horrors of social media. Fine. So first we have to give the social media a transitional phase, where we actually derive its positive aspects and then come to realize that okay, it has some negative aspects also. But see, theoretically, the knowledge has been derived, it has been developed to understand that if the technology will be used, okay, what will be the negative impact of technology, and whether this negative impact is actually visible in the society or not. So this is like a premonition. It is something which we have understood beforehand. Even though certain things might not be visible in the society, but we have visualized that it might be going to happen in the future. So public administration is one such discipline, is one such subject, fine, which is evolving, happening, evolving, happening, evolving, evolving, happening. Now simultaneously this process is going on. Fine. It is learning, doing, doing, learning, learning, doing. Now see. And that is why it becomes so interesting, and that is why it becomes so dynamic and practical in nature, and that is why you can see that every day that you read, you can very well fit into your subject. You don't need to do any additional effort. You don't need to memorize it. You don't need to put it as an academic baggage, because what you are seeing, what you are listening, what you are witnessing every day in the newspaper, in the media, fine, even in your self-introspection, your first-hand experiences in the society, that all becomes part of public administration. Yeah, we have to draw a line. There's no doubt about it. But as far as the understanding is concerned, as far as the conceptual linkages are concerned, Fine. As far as visualizing what you're learning is concerned, every day you can experience that in your society, in and around your community, in and around your house and locality. Right. So I generally divide it into three phases, and which is very logical. In 2008, the syllabus changed. So the present syllabus that we see of the UPSC was basically conceived in 2008. Prior to 2008, not many drastic changes were introduced, but yes, certain important topics in paper 2, like administrative reforms since independence, and like with some new areas, issues in Indian administration, local governments, urban local government separately, fine, urban governance, focus more, were introduced in 2008. Fine. In paper 1 also, fine, new developments like good governance, globalization, fine, impact of new public management. Then you have some new theories, especially focusing on the OB, organizational behavior, where we actually study the behavior of people in the organization, fine, how people actually behave within a system. And when we study all these things, right, so there itself, the OB comes into picture, and OB becomes a very important aspect in today's scenario, where we are talking about many things. For example, when we talk about ethics in governance, right, where we are talking about the emotional intelligence. Now, most of the companies, the corporates, many of you might have appeared for the placement interviews, right, or might be planning to appear for the placement interviews. You'll see that in our time, let's say 10 years back, in our time does not mean I am from some pre-Cambrian era, right, but yeah, 10 years back, 12 years back, right, and so in our times also, when we were giving the campus interviews or when we were selected for certain companies, right, they used to have HR round. Even today also they'll have HR round, and most of the questions which came in the HR round, and there was like a psychological test also, but conducted by big companies. Like for that time, the Reliance was a big company, Schlumberger was a big company, and like we attended those interviews, and so they used to have a psychological test also, okay, a psychometric type of test. So where they wanted to assess more of the emotional intelligence of people, which has been now been recommended by the second ARC to the UPSC, okay, which has been recommended by many other committees, by many international experts, fine, to the various recruiting agencies throughout the world, which are recruiting people for the public services and the government services, that they must have a very strong component of emotional intelligence. Right? So you must be knowing what is emotional intelligence. Now, such things, emotional intelligence, motivation, leadership theories, right? Need to understand what leadership is, communication, technology, e-governance, right? Most of these things, they came after 2008. They were introduced, right? So 2008, 9, 10. I'm just breaking it here itself. 2008 to 10. Okay, these were normal years where the normal papers came. Normal papers mean the syllabus was changed, and I was lucky to be part of both the phases, pre 2008 also and post 2008 also, right? So syllabus changed, and new things were introduced, more practical aspects introduced. So see, you'll see a trend evolving in 2008, not exactly in 2008, but 2009 and 10 question papers. So 8, since 8 it started, 9 and 10 it was now becoming somewhere more concrete as an idea. What was that idea? That earlier, let us say, this paper was more concerned with the facts, more factual paper, fine, more information based paper, which many paper, because basically UPSC exam is more factual in nature. It had been factual in nature, now it is changing, no doubt, but traditionally it is a fact based examination. Whatever people say, that is not true. Fine, because I have been part of it. I just missed the exam by probably 7 marks, and gave 3 interviews in a row, consecutively, that is not an achievement, that is a failure actually. And and probably went on to score one of the highest marks in public administration, higher than the topper that year, rank 1. The logic was that when we understood the nature of the examination, by that time it was little late, because sometimes intellect is not needed for the exam. Fine. And if you have the intellect, there is a need for mellowing it down, there is a need for manipulating this intellect, fine, into small bits of knowledge, into small bits of information, and then putting it across the examiner. Now that is what UPSC is about. So if you are able to simplify your knowledge, fine, but not at the loss of conceptual clarity. You need to have conceptual, obviously, otherwise PCS and IAS will not have a difference. Fine. Otherwise SSC and UPSC will not have a difference. So there is a difference, no doubt. But the difference is so subtle that unless you have that caliber, you cannot filter it down and bring it to the level of examination. You need to have that caliber, and you develop that caliber. You're not born with that caliber. Nobody is born with that caliber. We all evolve. Fine. We all engage ourselves, and then we actually understand, okay, what is the need of the examination. So here when you see, it is basically fact-based exam, and it was mostly fact-based. When I say fact-based, let's say for example, I am asking you a question. What is public administration? Fine. Straightforward question. Right. Now if I know what is public administration, what is the definition of public administration, fine, I don't need to analyze too much. What I will do, I will use various scholars, fine. These scholars, their definition I will use, fine, and I will write and I will try to define what is public administration, right. There would be 2 to 3 dimensions which I will derive from these scholars only, and I will write it. Now there is no scope of my own interpretation, there is no scope of my analysis, over analysis, fine, no, nothing, no scope in the examination itself, no scope in the question itself required, fine. It's not needed also, neither the exam demands it, fine. So exam also does not demand it, and you don't do it also. Now see, as we go to 2010 now, 8 to 10, mostly fact-based. Now as we move from, let's say, 2010 to 12, right? Now it becomes fact plus information. Now there is a difference. Fact hai, what is it? What is there? Is there. Finish. What is information? Now we are asking you something very specific. So fact, sabko pata hai, universal hai, fact hai, this is a fact. When we are talking about fact plus information, I am talking about something specific. Now see how this changes. Question remains the same, idea remains the same. See, question will change. Now we ask what is public administration. Now we'll modify it a little bit and say, fine, what is public administration? Do you think that the definition of Fifner and Presthus, do you think that the definition of Fifner and Presthus, okay, includes the modern day spirit of public administration? Now see the difference in the question. Okay, the content is not going to change much, but here the question focuses on a specific information which is related to Pfiffner and Frestus now. Now 2010 to 12 witnessed this phase where we started seeing variety of names, we started seeing variety of references, we started seeing some scholars, right, whom we generally understood earlier also, but not as an important information which we need to know, but just a general input to the fact, to the basic knowledge that we are studying. Just a general input to that. But now it started becoming more precise. So sometimes Pfiffner and Prestus, sometimes Waldo, sometimes Wilson, sometimes Taylor, sometimes Fayol, sometimes Gulick, sometimes Urwig, sometimes Weber. Now see the names. There are a lot of names. You just cannot know all of them. Fine, but definitely this creates certain, fears, certain chills in the examining. Right? Now he starts thinking, "Arey yaar, iska naam pata hona chahiye. Now I should know the name also." Fine. Now the logic becomes little complicated. Now 2012 to 6, what they do, the fact plus information to hai. Fine. Now they use the analysis also. Analysis now. Right? Now do you think part becomes more prominent. Right? Now Pfiffner and Frestus ka naam, when they took this name, it makes your analysis more specific to these two people. Now if they remove this name, then what happens? The analysis becomes too general now. Now you don't know what is to be written exactly. So if I use the name, at least if you know the name and you know what they have said, you know what exactly should be the nature of answer. But if I don't use any name and I simply say, do you think that the various definitions of public administration is in tune with the demands of the modern day spirit of public administration? Analyze, right? Evaluate, examine, comment. Right? Now these are various terms. We'll understand over the time what these terms are. There is a separate video also on the channel which I will ask them to put in your panel, right? So that you can just go through these terms and understand what these terms mean, right? But over the time you will know everything, don't worry. So see, now the analysis means what? Now the specificity, the specific nature of the question is diluted now. It becomes too generalized. Now the onus, the responsibility is shifted to you. Responsibility is shifted on you and no more on the scholar, no more on the theorist. It is on you now. Do you understand or not? Do you analyze or not? Do you have the ability to analyze or not? Right? So see, fact plus information plus analysis. Now 2016 onwards, it is more analysis plus opinion. Now you don't have to just analyze. Fine? You also have to develop your opinions. You also have to come to various conclusions, and it may not be a single conclusion. It may be multiple conclusions. ऐसा भी हो सकता है, ये भी हो सकता है, ये भी हो सकता है, and therefore I believe that this is right, or this is wrong, or this is what should happen. Fine? Understanding this logic? Right? So see, analysis, now this is the phase in which we are and where we can score very well. Why? Because this requires interlinkages. Right? Simple सा logic है. That, do you think that the traditional definitions of public administration are no more relevant in the modern context? Right? What is your opinion? Do you suggest alternatives, or do you have alternative opinions to what has been existent in the public administration or in the mainstream public administration till now? Now see, it is out and out your conceptual analysis, but obviously it will not be something out of the blue. This analysis is coming from the content, from the knowledge that you have acquired. Fine. This analysis is obviously based on the logic that you have understood within the subject itself. But the thing is that what is the beauty now? The beauty is that you don't have to mug up things. Right? Earlier, mugging up was the primary goal, mugging and writing. Today, yes, you need to know them, but you need to know them in a very subtle manner. You need to know them in a very incidental manner. Not the main purpose of studying the book is the rote learning of that fact and information. Now you don't have to do that. So they will play a very value addition role. Fine? But your analysis, your opinion will be based on obviously how conceptually clear you are in the subject. So it becomes more easy now. Fine? Believing that today's generation is more evolved than their previous people. Right? Believing that today's generation can understand things more rationally, more laterally, more horizontally, more with different other perspectives, not just a single dimension view. Okay. Assuming that today's generation has come with a good sense of vocabulary, good sense of conceptual understanding, good sense of social understanding, what is happening in the society right from very early age. They have been exposed to many things. Fine? Which is true for both. It's not just rural-urban divide. It is true for both the people coming from both the backgrounds. No doubt, rural people might have little disadvantage in that regard. They might be late in terms of understanding or witnessing the influence of social media. Right? But the urban population, the urban people, the urban youth, right, has been driving this social revolution, this media revolution, this technology revolution. Fine. So we believe in that way that okay, the modern people, the modern aspirants who are coming, the contemporary aspirants who are coming, okay, they are well versed with the developments which are happening around them. Okay, they are conscious about these developments, they are conscious about these changes, and so it makes the understanding of the subject more easy. For example, now the themes also that you will see in the question paper are very broad. Right? The themes are very contemporary in nature. Okay, for example, earlier, if you see paper 1, so paper 1, if you see unit 1 plus 2 plus 3. Now this paper has 12 units, 12 parts you can say. This totally comprised it of 45 to 55% of the paper. Even today also. Just 3 units. 50 to 60% of the paper. Fine? And in paper 2 also, the same 3 units will help you in understanding of this entire paper, otherwise you will not be able to understand the paper. Right? So imagine that paper 2 has 14 units and paper 1 has 12 units. So out of 26 units, if you know 3 units very well, right, you can almost ace the 30 to 40% of the entire paper. Okay, that is 150 to 180 marks out of 500. Can be done just by 3 units, but these 3 units take more than 2 months, 2.5 months to be understood. Because it covers almost virtually everything. All your concepts, all your theories, all your logic is within this. Right? Then there are bits and pieces, little bit questions which are obviously asked from various other units also. And so in fact in paper 1, if 1, 2, 3, fine, plus 6, 7, 8. Right? If you take altogether 6 units, so almost 70% of the paper 1 is done. So 6 out of 12, that is 50% of the effort. If you put properly, you're going to get or you're going to score, attempt more than 75% of the paper 1. Right? That is almost 200 20, 30 marks, 210 at least out of 250. So imagine, right? It is a strategy. Right? It is not just about some anarchic pursuit of knowledge. It is not about understanding anything as and when you want, right? But there is a defined way of knowing things, and this way of knowing thing is the only basis of cracking this examination. So if you are thorough with these certain 6 units, you can attempt more than 200 marks in your paper 1, right? Paper 2 also has 14 units, but there is a different method of studying paper 2. Fine, we'll talk about paper 1 and paper 2 separately. Fine, in fact, we'll analyze all the topics. So, if we talk about paper 2, which has 14 units, fine, most of them are overlapping. So, essentially, the entire study of paper 2 comes or revolves around 7 units. Fine, so you don't have to study 14 units, you have to study only 7 units and 6 units here, that is 13 units as the main unit. Within them you can study other units also. But if you take 7 units as the main units, the rest 7 you can study within them also, fine, as a sub part or subdomain of these units. So logically, if you see, if you are studying these 7 units, fine, you will be able to attempt the entire 250 marks. Now people say that paper 2 is problem, paper 2 we are not able to understand paper 2. Paper 2 is a big issue, fine, because we don't know what is the content of paper 2, how people, it is not true, right? The only difference between paper 1 and paper 2, paper 1 you have adequate knowledge, paper 1 if you have conceptual clarity, which obviously most of the I don't want to take any name, obviously we don't engage in all that, but as I know most of the people who are teaching public administration or into public administration, I have seen them that they are not concerned with the conceptual clarity, they are simply giving some information in the name of the topics. Fine. This obviously creates a deficiency in terms of understanding various units. Unless you have the linkage, interlinkage, unless you have undercurrent between them. Fine. Let us say if you talk about the Prime Minister Cares Fund, the controversy related to PM Care Fund and Prime Minister Relief Fund, PMRF. Right. Now, when you talk about Prime Minister Care Fund, one aspect would be to know about Prime Minister's PM Care Fund क्या है, fine, society है, registered है, नहीं है, auditor क्या है, who will audit it, what is the nature of this account, from where the money comes, you know all these technicalities. What will be the other aspect? The other aspect will also be required to understand why there is a need for such a fund when we already have certain funds. That is now another layer you are adding to that. The another layer would be now that if other funds are there, then probably this fund has been created with some specific purpose. So are the other funds not able to serve that purpose? Fine, now this analysis, another layer added to that. Another layer which can be added to that, okay, what are the specific functions which this fund will perform and not the other funds perform, or they are not able to cater to, what are those specific functions? Fine. And if this fund was not there earlier, how those functions were performed? If those functions were not performed, then till now were we lying to the people? Were we not performing these functions at all, or these functions were being performed by someone else or some other fund or some other agency till now? Now these are what? This is a kind of rational, a logical probe, a logical interrogation into a knowledge. So when you think of the plant, or you think of a seed, then you think of the land on which the seed will be sown, fine, then you think of the water, then you think of the sunlight, fine, then you think of the space this tree is going to take, fine, then you think of the consequence of this once the tree grows, fine, then you think of the protection of this tree, okay, then you think of the impact of this tree, then you think of the benefits of this tree, then you think of the negatives of this tree, and likewise now you can add as many circles as you want. So I call this as concentric circle approach. right? So everything is somewhere connected to something other. Now it is up to us how we are able to connect it logically, right? Obviously we cannot connect everything to everything, and we should not do it, right? But we must have a frame of reference within which we can connect most of the dots, we can connect most of the circles, and then understand, okay, how this is part of this, how this is part of this, how this is part of this. Once we are able to develop this method, right, it becomes very easy for you. So in paper 2 basically we require this. Paper 1 obviously we require more conceptual clarity. Without conceptual clarity we cannot understand things, right? You must have seen the vocabulary of paper 1, so you can understand that paper 1 is more about vocabulary, fine, but that vocabulary is specific to public administration. It will have specific meaning when used in the specific context of public administration, fine, and we must be well versed with the variety of meanings that this particular term, this particular word can be understood in, or in terms of the question paper of public administration, in how many ways this particular term or the subject can be, this vocabulary can be understood. If we are able to understand this logic, we have developed the concept. Fine. So conceptual clarity is a big focus for us. Then practice. Fine. Then knowing what has come. So a lot of questions we'll do in the class itself. Okay. Not just previous questions. We'll make a lot of questions. Fine. We'll analyze a particular topic from various perspectives. Okay. Within which obviously a lot of questions will come. Right. So more than 500 plus questions we'll be doing in the class itself. Previous year questions, yes, they will also be there. Fine. They will automatically come into your content that we'll analyze. Fine. If you are going through the class, if you are making your own notes from the class, if you are able to develop the linkage that we will obviously give you, and you don't need to develop, you just need to follow that linkage, automatically it will give you a food for thought. Every class will give you a new food for thought, will give you a new idea, will give you a new logic. If you just keep sticking to that, if you just keep incorporating that in your analysis, in your understanding of the subject, I believe, as I have seen over the time, you don't need anything else apart from your class notes. Fine. You need, you might have, you may keep IGNOU notes with you, or S. Paulinaidu's book, that is also okay. Fine. Or Lakshmikant's book, which is basically used for prelims, which was used for prelims in public administration. Mohit Bhattacharya, Nicholas Henry, and there are so many other books which I will tell you when to read. Obviously, you don't need to read explicitly as far as your subject is concerned for the UPSC, because we will do everything that is there in the, right, more than 30-35 books, and their summary or their logic would be there in your class notes. So you don't need anything beyond that, and they will be contemporary in nature. Contemporary papers, contemporary research papers, contemporary doctoral papers or thesis of various scholars who are now contemporary, contributing to public administration, or your notes from the Indian Institute of Public Administration, the journal, Indian Journal of Public Administration, Center for Good Governance, case studies, and so many other things that will be there. Everything will be there in the classroom, will be given to you. Fine. You will get booklets also, don't worry. We are in the process. It is already there, but we'll be providing you on your panel right now in the form of e-notes, and then it will be sent to you physically once the problem, the crisis of corona gets over, because we don't want to again expose our people into the printing and other process. So we have just delayed it right now, but you will be getting, eventually you'll get it. Fine. That will be value addition notes, and I will be telling you what to read, what to not. Fine. You will get second ARC notes, second ARC compilation, which is very essential, Punchi Commission's recommendation, which is very important, IIPA booklets, again very important. Okay, basic content which is needed. Fine. But your classroom notes will be the main. Fine. Anything else you can supplement from them, from other aspects. Fine. So as far your clearing examination 310, 320, 325 marks is concerned, out of 500, if you are aiming at 300 plus or 320, 20, 30, fine, you can easily get from your classroom notes and the logic and the analysis that we are going to do. If you want to go for 400, 500 marks, then obviously I am not the right person to give you that input. So if you want to score 400 out of 500 or 450 or 500 out of 500, then probably that cannot happen here. Fine, but yes, definitely 300 plus you can easily score. Okay, with practice, with dedication, with what you can say, a commitment towards the what we are doing in the class. Fine. Writing is a very important aspect. We'll be giving you questions every day. You don't need to write everything every day, obviously. Fine. Every Friday you can submit few answers. Obviously the answers which will be important, which seem to be important, which appeal to your logic, to your intellectual ability. You write challenging questions. Okay, don't write the answers to the obvious questions which जो आंसर हमने already class में बता दिया. What is the use of writing that? Fine, but you can start with yes, simple questions. Submit 1 or 2 questions per week. Fine, within a week I'll try to check it and obviously give it to you, back to you. That will be done. Fine, but yeah, over the time, not instantly. Fine, answer writing also requires knowing. Fine, so simply writing something is not enough. Fine, you need to have a comprehensive understanding and overview of that topic, and then you can write it well. Writing is obviously a later part, but writing is very important. You cannot ignore it. And within the course itself, we have a special focus on your answer writing skills. Right. So that will be done. And you can say, as far as building your, conceptual ability towards this examination as a whole. Okay, whether it is general studies, whether it is public administration, whether it is ethics, whether it is essay, whether it is PT, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, fine. It's the same game, fine, and it has more or less the similar rules and the similar strategies, fine. Only the notes, the content and the scope may differ from, area to area, but the strategy remains more or less same. So we'll be focusing on those aspects also, so that you get a boost from time to time. Fine, you get an orientation from time to time of what exactly is needed for those areas also. Fine, so our focus would be on comprehensive and a wholesome understanding of the examination, the nature of examination as such, and not just a subject and a discipline. Fine, obviously you will be specializing in public administration, no doubt, but along with other things also, right? And as far as the duration is concerned, obviously with everything going well, unlike the volatile situations we all are facing every day in our lives today, thanks to the corona and other aspects that have been created, obviously 4.5 months to maximum 4.5 to 5 months we'll finish it. Fine, obviously the technicalities. It will be in your panel, you can watch it. It will be there till your mains 2021, right? And even after your completion of a course, I'm there. I'm always there. There is no doubt about it. Fine. So our interaction, our engagement will not restrict to only the classroom, right? Doubts, sessions, whatever, you can ask the questions in the panel, right? You can also send questions on email to the system, to the institutes, to the organization's official email ID. Fine, you can contact Ram Mohan sir, you can contact me, or through him you can contact me. Fine, whenever you have any doubt. Fine, meanwhile I'll try to resolve the doubts every class, every session. Fine, so probably the doubts will not be there. Fine, even though there remains doubts beyond that also, then we'll try to resolve it in some form or the other. So our engagement and our interaction must not be restricted to this camera and this podium and this board. It should go beyond that, and that is the beauty of this digital education, that people feel that it is creating the blocks of knowledge, it is creating the blocks of relationships, but it is not true. Fine, the technology has made geography a history, and that is true, right? So geography is a history now, no more relevant And constant engagement, constant motivation, constant influence, constant criticism, constant evaluation, constant improvement, and constant failures. All of them are necessary to qualify this examination. Fine. So today's session will not increase much longer, and for a few days we'll keep it at little, let's say 1.5 hours for some time. Then obviously we'll speed up the process. So 4 times we'll starting with 4 times a week right now. Fine. So even you have some time, and obviously prelims is also coming, so there may be some engagements for us also, and because of this corona we have lost some time, and so you can understand that way that the previous batches also needs to be given attention. So we'll be doing it slow and steady pace, but yeah, we'll be doing every day. We'll be covering very important ground, right? And so 4 days a week we'll start with, and Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Right? Saturday the timings may vary sometimes. If you're working, then probably Saturday would be good for you. If you're not, still, then you can manage your time somehow, right? So whatever doubts you have over the time, we'll come to that. So we'll start with the analysis of the paper 1 syllabus, okay, then paper 2 syllabus, and then we'll go on to understand that how we start off with the subject of public administration. So it will be like this week will be the entire analysis of the syllabus and the scope and the extent of syllabus. Fine. I think it is right. We shall call it a day today. Fine. So we'll meet day after tomorrow now, and we'll be talking about the details of the paper 1, the syllabus of paper 1, the scope, and the various dimensions of the understanding. It is a very interesting area. Don't miss it. And obviously you have the liberty, no doubt, to study at your own pace, and that is the best thing about probably digital education. But yes, the discipline and self-discipline is always needed to clear this examination. Remember, this examination is an examination of labor, consistency, and perseverance, not of intelligence. Yes, intelligence is acquired once you qualify the examination. Through the training, the intelligence is imparted to you. But right now, they are not looking for intellectuals or highly intelligent species. They are looking for people who have dedication, commitment, and passion for service, even though the reality may depict something else, but still, that is what the system is about. Fine. So when we'll study secondary RC and all those things, issues, you'll understand, right, that what is the essence of civil services in India. So right now, enjoy your luxury of being at home or wherever you are, and understanding the knowledge should not stop, or anything should not stop the interaction of knowledge. Fine. Thank you so much. It was nice interacting every time with the young minds, with the bright minds, and this gives us a new canvas every time. Every batch, a new canvas is created where we draw, or where we try to improve upon the destiny of this nation, little bit, whatever we can do. Fine. Thank you so much for your time.